The Royal Canadian Navy goes back to 1910, founded as the Naval Service of Canada and given royal sanction by King George V in 1911. The Royal Canadian Navy was amalgamated with the Air Force and the Army to form the Unified Canadian Forces in 1968. It was known as Maritime Command, or MARCOM, until 2011. Unofficially, MARCOM was represented as the Canadian Navy and maintained many traditions. In 2011, it was again named the Royal Canadian Navy. The Navy played a role in the First World War, contributed significantly to the Battle of the Atlantic during the Second World War, and was part of NATO's force buildup during the Cold War. When you look at the alcove, you will see a display booth with model aircraft and artifacts. The back wall shows the Sea King helicopter and other naval aircraft. The wall on your right shows the Banshee jet. The wall on your left shows aircraft carriers. The Canadian Navy had two escort carriers, the Nabob from January to October 1944 and the Puncher from March to October 1944. Canada had no aircraft carriers of its own until HMCS Warrior entered service in 1946. Warrior proved unsuitable for North Atlantic winters and was replaced by HMCS Magnificent in 1948. By the mid-50s, Magnificent was being used for vehicle transport for peacekeeping before being paid off in 1957. Her replacement, HMCS Bonaventure, was a more modern aircraft carrier, having been purchased in 1952 from the Royal Navy. HMCS Bonaventure, Canada's third and last aircraft carrier, served from 1957 to 1970. Bonaventure never saw action, but had important peripheral non-combat roles, including NATO patrol during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Bonaventure carried two types of fixed-wing aircraft, the McDonnell Banshee and the Grumman Tracker, and helicopters. In 1964, Sea King helicopters were added to her complement. The McDonnell Banshee, a rugged, reliable, all-weather fleet defense and ground attack fighter, was the only carrier-based air defense jet fighter used by the Royal Canadian Navy from 1955 to 62. Aboard the HMCS Bonaventure, the Banshee was well liked by pilots for its performance on the deck and in the air, as well as its all-weather capability, range, and speed. The Banshee was used by the aerobatic team, the Grey Ghosts. The Tracker served on the HMCS Bonaventure and on shore bases. Manufactured under license by de Havilland Canada, the Tracker was the only Canadian-built aircraft ordered for the Royal Canadian Navy and based on the Bonnie in the 1960s as she traveled the globe. Later, trackers at Eastern Canadian Forces bases did maritime surveillance and fishery patrol until 1990, when the aircraft was retired. The Sikorsky Sea King, a twin-engined anti-submarine helicopter designed for shipboard use by Canadian Naval Forces, served from 1963 to 2018 for a total of 55 years. On December 1, 2018, the Sea King was retired. In the 1960s, the Navy developed a technique for landing the huge helicopters on small ship decks using a haul-down winch called a bear trap, and earning air crews the nickname Crazy Canucks. The bear trap allowed recovery of the Sea King in virtually any sea state. Sea Kings had served on aircraft carriers, Halifax-class frigates, and Protector-class replenishment ships. Visit the Canadian Navy alcove at the BC Aviation Museum at YYJ.